Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Jeni. Now, I'm going to be talking about what's coming in from the week of January 12th to the 18th daily. What energies are happening, how this is going to affect you, what can you expect, and how we can utilize this and work through this energy to the fullest. We have Venus energy, we have soulmate energy, we have Chiron energy, we have a new moon in Capricorn coming, and so on. So I'm going to be talking about that even more in a little bit more details. Now, for those of you who know that I go live here on YouTube offering free clairvoyant writings or readings, mark your calendars. The next time I'm going live right here on YouTube is Friday, January the 30th, 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you have a question to ask me, make sure you are tuned in right here on my channel and ask me a question. Or you can book a private reading with me, soulworkwithjeni.com. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Down there, click the button in order to get notifications and so on. So I have a lot of content on my channel. You can go back and see some interviews and so much more. So let's start talking about this week coming up here. Like, oh my gosh, we're in winter season, of course, where I'm at. I put a nice little winter background here. I'll go through my meditation walks and so on. How many of you guys meditate? It's so important. This is a very fast moving year with the year of the fire horse, with the universal 1 year. I talk about that in my predictions video. I did a predictions video first, second week of December 2026 world predictions. Make sure you watch that because certain things have already happened and are happening, as I mentioned. So January 12th and 13th, what's going on? We have Chiron energy. Now, Chiron energy is the wounded healer. So it can get a lot more emotional. You could be like, why are all of these memories start coming back? As we're healing, you're going to be more emotional. You're going to be more teary-eyed. So don't run from your emotions. This is perfectly normal because our soul brings things to the surface that we still need to heal from. We need to work through in order to move forward. Because when you start healing, your power starts coming back. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more as well. So you're going to find that you're going to be a lot more creative. You're going to be seeing a lot more clarity right now. So this is the time to work on your projects, work on especially your creativity, no matter what way that is, and really pay attention to the direction that you're going towards now. This is the time to start making these changes. We still have the leftovers from 2025, January and February. So whatever it is, you're like, oh, I forgot to do this, or, oh, I still need to do that. Get it done now. Make appointments. There's something I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. So I'm like, okay, put it on my to-do list. Let's book this in, whatever it is. Don't let it linger into this year, because it could go opposite for you. We want to get rid of that stuff that we're still dealing with. I don't want to bring this stuff into 2026 here with us. We're already here now. Let's get this resolved. Let's end the situation right now. So this is when you're going to be making long-term goals, making those plans coming together. You're going to really start committing to yourself more. Take a look at what do I need to commit to? Because you're going to be coming more into alignment within your path and the directions. You're also going to see more of your soul's purpose coming to surface even more. What's my soul's purpose, Jeni? What are you drawn to? What do you truly want to do? Where's your passion? What are your interests? Really look at that. So you're going to be more focused on your priorities, let's say. It's important to focus on our priorities, what we really need to get done, of course. Because when we let those priorities slip into the back or push it under the blanket, the rug, whatever, what happens? It follows us. And then we get that rude awakening during a certain cosmic time. We're like, oh my God, exactly. We want to move with ease and grace as much as possible. So now the 14th and 15th and 16th brings new opportunities for you. Really pay attention, be open to what new opportunities are being presented to you, because you're going to start facing those fears. You got to try to trust the process. I don't know about this, Jeni. Trust. If it feels right, if you're like, I don't know about this, something's just telling me something's off, pay attention to that too. Because you're going to be like, you know what, I really need to set boundaries right now. I'm getting people asking me to do all of these different things or whatever it is. I got to really start having time for me so I can work on these things. Relationships, especially karmic relationships can be really good. That's my soulmate. That's my twin flame. Our dharma brought us together. Karma means you still have things to work out and such like that. Your connection with your partner can create more of a bond. It can get stronger with each other. There's a lot of potential right now, as long as it's the right person and so on. If you're like, oh my God, my partner's toxic, all of these things, you have decisions to make. So look at what you want in a partner right now. Look at, maybe I want to commit to this person even more. Maybe it's time we move in together. Maybe it's time we get engaged. Maybe it's time I actually make that commitment to my person. You know what? I want to be exclusive. All of that. It's a beautiful time because Venus energy is going to support you on this. You're going to be taking your power back in situations even more stronger. You're going to be facing fears. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to ask my person out finally. Face your fears. Oh my God, but what if they say no? But what if they say yes? If they say no, maybe there's reasons for that. It's not the right time. They're not interested. Maybe that's not your person. However, you're going to feel it because you're going to be going through a huge transformation right now, especially with partnerships, romantic relationships, and so on. You will face your fears through this. You're going to face your fears because you're going to see more truth. You're going to really see who you need to let go of. Sometimes we're like, I don't know. Listen to your heart. But when you're getting abused by someone, you got to pay attention to that. Talk to your person. Do I want to continue this? So on and so on. Keep it really real. We can love someone, but it doesn't mean the relationship but it doesn't mean the relationship will work. That's why whenever somebody books a reading with me, I will give you all of my insights and a lot of details about this person. The ultimate decision is yours. We all have our own footsteps and our own path to leave and walk on and so on and so on. So you could find it could be a little bit more emotional as well right now. And you're really going to go after what you want even more right now. This is the year where we're going to be following our dreams. We're not going to be pushing our dreams in the corner anymore. You're going to have a lot more courage the 14th, 15th, and 16th to start to make changes because you're going to see the truth in situations and relationships, especially. So ponder on that, you guys. You know what's working and you know what is not working. I'm just saying. So as we move into the 17th of January, you're really going to see what truly, truly matters right now for you. That Venus is in Aquarius energy. So really pursue what makes you happy, what really brings you alive. Like even when I had went away and last year, actually, I'm like, oh my God, do I ever feel alive being here? Like, wow, really pay attention to where you're feeling happy, what brings you alive, where are you truly passionate? What makes you more passionate? You're going to see the truth of where things are really at right now with everything, no matter what. This is the time you can make these changes. Pay attention, as I'm saying, what's not working anymore. Is it time to end it? Or is it time to this, or it's time to that? You got to pay attention to that, you guys. You know, you very well could be feeling more independent. You could be starting a new business on the side. You could be like, yeah, I want to get this side business up. I want to really work on this. I want to, all of those things. Maybe you have a job you don't like and you're like, wow, I'd really like to get something of my own going on or whatever it is. This is the time when you could be like, okay, now I need to look into this. How do I take those steps? How do I want to this? Because you're not going to want to be restricted anymore. You're going to be like, I can't handle having these limitations anymore. Look at what's limiting you. How can you change that? What direction can you walk towards to make these changes? But it's important to not close your heart, because if you close your heart, you're not going to be healing through situations. We have to listen to our heart, yes. And if you just ended a relationship, of course you could be feeling, pain and suffering and sadness and all of those things. Of course you would. You're a human being. But don't close your heart. Really look back what you learned from that journey and that. Really pay attention to your ideas right now. I'm just saying. I had an idea come in my head the other day and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to write that down before I forget about it. Like I just wrote it down. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it that very second and that very time. No, it means that, you know what? I'm going to look into that. Maybe it could really work for me. Maybe it won't. However, this is year you're going to be taking a lot more risks and stuff like that with certain things. So you could be feeling a lot more emotions on the 17th, because we do have that new moon in Capricorn on the 18th, right? New moon brings new beginnings. This is the time where you kind of want to avoid certain surgeries if possible. You do have a surgery on a new moon, don't panic or anything like that, right? There's more passings on the new moons because it closes the door on the old, embraces the new. So you're going to be facing a lot more responsibilities with this Capricorn new moon. You're going to be more focused on long-term goals. Let's set some long-term goals, because what you're truly working on this year, you could very well, see huge results in 2027. 2025, we set it off. We're closing a 9-year cycle. We're opening up a 1-year universal 1 year for another 9 years, right? But how do I know if I'm going to be alive in 9 years? How do you know if you're not going to be alive in 9 years? I'm just saying, don't look at that. You're going to find you're going to be a lot more creative again. You're going to be building your foundations even stronger. Don't push it. Soulmate relationships can open up this weekend as well. That energy carries forth this whole entire week. You're going to want to set intentions. You're going to actually have a lot more self-respect for yourself, self-care, self-love. You're going to be like, no, I know my worth. Sorry, I'm not going that direction. No, thank you. We can have opportunities offered to us at any time. Doesn't mean we have to jump on it. Take a look at everything that's involved. Really take a look at, what lifestyle do I want? Like, what direction do I really want to move into? Maybe I want to, I've had enough of the city noise. Maybe I want some quiet time. Maybe you're like, yeah, I got to move into the city. I want to get my music business going. I'm moving to Nashville. Oh my gosh. Go on. What lifestyle do you want? I mean, I like to keep things simple myself, right? I like to have more peaceful, quiet environments and so on. That's why I do my photography and go for my walk in nature on my walkabout, right? Clear my mind, get back grounded, and so on and so on. So you're going to be a lot more ambitious right now, with this energy of the new moon. You're going to be creating more solid plans for yourself. So you very well could meet somebody this weekend, let's say, or you met somebody 14th, 15th, and 16th this week. You're like, oh my God, right? Don't rush things. I keep saying that. It could be like, wow, it takes time building a foundation. It takes time creating a relationship. If you were building a home on property, it doesn't go up overnight. Of course not. If it does, oh my gosh, I wouldn't trust that. It takes time building, it takes time putting things together when you want a solid foundation. So this huge week here, love relationships, self-respect, self-worth, self-love, set intentions on this new moon, get things resolved that are still kind of lingering and hanging on. You are going to face those fears. You will do it. Even something I have to face, and I'm like, oh my God, I really don't want to do that. However, you have to do it if you want it to get resolved. If you leave things that are not resolved, it follows you. Oh, I'm just going to travel to the other side of the world. It's going to go away. Really? No, it won't. It'll just follow you and it can get worse, right? So you want to make sure that you deal with things now. Deal with what really matters this week. Open your heart, and you're going to be reviewing a lot of things as it is. You really are. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, what's holding me back? What roadblocks do I have? Like, be honest with yourself, right? What's limiting you? What's really limiting you? You only have control over your actions and your behavior. You don't have control over anybody else at all. No, no, you don't, right? Why would why would you want to control somebody? That's not going to work. It'll backfire. You want somebody to control you, then why would you control somebody else? You want the energy to be flowing nicely, because if it's not, things can happen, right? So take advantage of this week, you guys. It's so important to do that, of this energy. How many of you guys have met someone? Let me know, make some comments, like my channel. It does help me out and such like that. So I'm just going to pull a couple of cards just to see what the universe has to say for us collectively here. I don't use cards in my readings. I'm a clairvoyant. So I read your level of consciousness, expand it in many, many details, what I'm seeing and hearing and so on and so on, right? So we're just going to pull a couple of cards to see if you guys connect with these cards. Some of you will, some of you won't. And really pay attention to birds right now too, by the way. Birds have a lot of powerful messages. A lot of powerful messages. I get messages. I'm also an animal communicator, and I get messages from the animal kingdom all the time. And just to give you an example, right? So there was something and I'm like, oh my God, should I do this? Should I, I was worried about it, and I'm like, oh my God, Spirit, give me a sign. And I tell you, must have been 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay, now I got to close my blinds. Um, you know, I just was closing my blinds. A bird, wounded, boof, came in my yard, and I'm like, he was walking around the yard and he was very wounded, and I'm like, oh my God, that was my sign. If I would have done what I was going to do, I knew that I could get really hurt and wounded if I do that, but maybe I won't. And I'm like, Spirit, God, please give me a sign. And I can tell you what, long story short, I have like a yard, and in one of the corners of my yard, I have a large angel statue. The bird that was wounded ended up walking over, laying down beside, right in front of my angel, and he passed away. Of all places in my yard, right beside my angel. I actually took a photo of it, and I'm like, oh my God. I did a little ceremony for him and blessed him on his journey. But I'm just saying, really be open to the spirit world, talk to the spirit world, ask for messages. I always ask for physical messages myself. That was a huge message. Like, oh my God, I felt my mom energy coming through. So, oh my gosh, like just really pay attention. So, but anyways, um, let's just have a little conversation with the cards. What is the message collectively from the 12th to the 18th of January for us collectively? What is the message from the 12th to the 18th? Message from the 12th to the 18th. Cards, too many cards, too many cards. What's the message from the 12th to the 18th, 12th to the 18th, 12th to the 18th. Come on. 12th to the 18th. It's a message. Spirit world. Male, female. Well, isn't this kind of interesting? Male, female card fell out. And what did I call this week? Soulmate potential, twin flames, all of that, endings, new beginnings. Maybe some of you are paying attention to, wow, did I ask my person out? Should I commit to my person? Should I propose? Maybe you're going to meet someone. Like, that's incredible. Male, female. Maybe some of you are coming to terms with your sexuality. We all have our male side and feminine side as well. Like, oh my gosh, what a perfect card. Pay attention to this, you guys. Like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. I love how the universe talks to me. Oh my God. So let's just pull another card. This is pretty cool, isn't it? So make sure you guys clear your cards, by the way, whenever you use them. Right? I clear my decks before I even use them here. What's the message from the 12th to the 18th? Immediately right away, this card fell out. We have the energy of the whale coming through. It is easy for me to hear subtle sounds that help me create my reality. I receive messages and guidance through intuitive hearing or sound. Even those that are not physical sound waves, I traverse the inner depths of my consciousness to remember my truth and align my soul. Oh my gosh. Look at that. I love whales. What do whales do? They flow with the rhythm and the flow of the waters. Whales also represent past life as well. So clearing karmic situations, pay attention to karmic situations. Like, how beautiful is that? Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. So one last card. I have like a few decks here because I'm like, spirit guide me, but I'm not going to use all my decks here, you guys. No, of course not. So let's just have one little chat more just to see where we're at. What's the energy? Please like my channel, you guys. Click like on the video. What's the energy of the 12th to the 18th from our spirit guides, from the universe? What's the message from the 12th to the 18th for us collectively here? It's a message from the 12th to the 18th. 12th to the 18th. Dry desert. Wow. Some of you, how many of you are moved to the desert? How many of you are thinking about maybe traveling to the desert? Maybe some of you just really need to go on that walkabout and discover self-discovery. Like, that is so interesting. Dry deserts. And look how peaceful that is. Look how peaceful that is. Maybe some of you are like thinking about like going to Arizona. Maybe some of you are thinking about, going to different places where there's like more of a desert feel like that, more peaceful, more calm. You know what I mean? It doesn't show like city life here and such like that. How interesting is that? I'm loving this energy. Maybe some of you live in the water, on the water climate. You're like, you know what? I'm getting pulled towards the desert more. I'm not looking at this or that. Yeah. This is a year you very well could move at a long distance with that horse energy. Some of you could be thinking, you know what, we want to move long distance. Maybe some of you are like, yeah, I had a job offer at a long distance. Pay attention to that. Really pay attention to that. Okay, so now how many of you guys are going to be with me here on YouTube live on Friday, January the 30th at 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Pacific to join me for a free clairvoyant reading? I'm going to be here. So until next week, Cosmic Vibes, go back and listen to the videos. You'll see how things happened during the time I said they were going to happen. Make sure you check out my 2026 year predictions. Certain things have already happened and come true already. So namaste until next time.